Good morning, students. In previous classes, we discussed about electron emission in the first class. In next class, we discussed a photoelectric effect. So, what is a photoelectric effect and who discovered photoelectric effect, and what are the various electron emissions types, and also what are experimental study of the photoelectric effect, and what are experimental observations, and what are the laws of photoelectric effect, and also why wave theory of light failed to explain the photoelectric effect, but how quantum theory explained photoelectric effect, what is Einstein photoelectric equation, what are the different forms of Einstein equation, and also how Einstein explained from his equation we discussed it, and also what is a particle theory or photon theory, particle nature of the light and photon theory we discussed it, and what are the basic properties of the photons, around 10 properties of the photons given. So in the last class, I think up to the particle nature of the light and photon theory completed, correct? And also one more concept, photocells. One of the application of the photoelectric effect, what are photocells, photoemissive, photovoltaic, and photoconductive cells, and what are the uses of the photocells also in last class we discussed it. And almost the last part of the chapter, so dual nature of matter. So today we'll discuss the dual nature of matter. So dual nature of matter. So in this part we'll discuss what is the dual nature of the matter, and what is the de Broglie wavelength, and the formula also we can discuss here. So generally your total nature or universe, if you observe carefully, it has two important entities or two important properties. One is radiation and the second one matter. So the total universe, anything I may take, they must come under the category of either radiation or matter. For example, if you take light, whatever the visible light we are seeing, it belongs to radiation. And for example, if you take this duster, it is having something a mass, right? That's why it belongs to the matter. So anything having a certain mass can be called as a matter. So for example, if you are whatever, when we are speaking, sound waves are traveling along the forward direction. So sound belongs to radiation. So and at the same time, for example, if you take a piece of chalk or an automobile, so they belongs to the matter. So the total universe having a two important entities. One is called as radiation or light. One is the radiation, and the second entity nothing but called as matter. So generally, what is the nature of the radiation or light? How it will behave, like a particle or wave? So generally, by the end of the 19th century, we came to know the electromagnetic wave theory or Huygens wave theory, different theories. So according to wave theories, so radiation behaves as a wave, and according to quantum theory, if you take, radiation behaves as a particle. So generally, whenever the radiation undergoes photoelectric effect, so already we discussed a photoelectric effect. Whenever the light or radiation undergoes a photoelectric effect, means whenever a radiation of the suitable frequency falls on the metal plate, electrons are emitted. So that means it behaves like a particle. So when a radiation undergoes a photoelectric effect, it behaves as a particle. At the same time, whenever the same radiation undergoes interference, diffraction, and a polarization, it behaves like a wave. So that means when a radiation undergoes interference, here interference means whenever the two or more light waves of nearly same amplitude, same wavelength, and a constant phase difference overlapped or superposed. So we are getting the interference concept. So interference or diffraction or diffraction, bending of the light around the corners of an obstacle, can be called as diffraction. Or polarization, whenever light undergoes all these properties, we can say the radiation behaves like a wave. So from these concepts, what we can say, radiation sometimes behaves as a particle and sometimes behaves as a wave. So this is but not simultaneously. So this is a combined nature of the radiation called as a dual nature. So the radiation having a what type of nature means a dual nature. Light has a dual nature, or radiation has a dual nature. What does it mean? Sometimes a radiation behaves as a particle and sometimes a radiation behaves as a wave, but not simultaneously. If you have any question raised, when does a radiation behaves like a wave? When a light undergoes interference, diffraction or polarization, it behaves as a wave. Whenever same light undergoes a photoelectric effect, it behaves as a particle. So this combined nature of the light is called as dual nature of the light or dual nature of the radiation. But second entity is what? Matter. But generally we are saying the total universe has or nature has two entities. One is radiation. Already we discussed it. What is the behavior of the radiation? But what about the matter? So the matter behaves as a particle or matter behaves as a wave. So this question arisen by de Broglie, the scientist. And generally he thought the total nature always loves symmetry. So uniformity. Generally nature always loves symmetry, uniformity. So what does it mean? So nature always loves symmetry or uniformity means in the nature we are saying two entities. One is a radiation and one is a matter. So radiation has a dual nature. But what about the matter? De Broglie thought, so matter also has a dual nature. Why can't the matter has a dual nature? The question arises by de Broglie, and later theoretically he studied about the matter. And finally what he concluded theoretically means matter also has a dual nature. So that means sometimes matter behaves as a particle and sometimes matter behaves as a wave. So that combined nature of the matter is called as dual nature of the matter. But generally the matter has something mass and also momentum. That's why it will behave like a particle. Whenever the same matter is in a motion, moving a particle like an electron, a proton, or a bus or a car, something is in a motion, and some of the waves are associated with this particle. Hence, it also behave like a wave. So, according to de Broglie, matter has a dual nature. Sometimes it behaves as a particle, and sometimes it behaves as a wave, but not simultaneously. So, this behavior of the matter is called as dual nature of matter. So, sometimes matter behaves as matter behaves as a particle. Sometimes matter behaves as a particle, and sometimes as a wave, and sometimes as a wave, but not simultaneously. Means but not at the same time. So but not simultaneously. So this behavior of the matter is called as generally dual nature of matter. So that is only called as a dual nature of matter, and theoretically it was predicted by the scientist de Broglie. So dual nature of matter. But later he also given one concept, matter waves. What are matter waves or what are de Broglie waves? Matter waves or de Broglie waves means any moving particle like electron or a proton or an automobile or a dust or whatever particle may take, whenever it is in a motion, some of the particles are associated with the moving particle, and those waves are called matter waves. The waves which are associated with a moving particle are called matter waves, are also called de Broglie waves. So matter waves are also called de Broglie waves. So that doesn't mean the waves belongs to the scientist. So that means the concept was first predicted by de Broglie. Hence we are calling de Broglie waves. So waves which are associated, sometimes 1 mark theory question may be asked. What are matter waves or what are de Broglie waves? So waves associated with a moving particle. waves associated with a moving particle are called matter waves or de Broglie waves. Waves associated with a moving particle are called matter waves or de Broglie waves. And the wavelength of these waves, whenever wave is there means there must be something wavelength also. So the wavelength of this waves called as de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength, we can denote with the symbol as lambda. What is a de Broglie wavelength means? Wavelength of the matter waves is called as de Broglie wavelength. So theory concept only it is generally. Wavelength of matter waves is called de Broglie wavelength. Now we'll find the value formula for de Broglie wavelength. So here we have two 1 mark questions. What are matter waves? And the second one, what is a de Broglie wavelength? So waves associated with the moving particles are called matter waves. And the wavelength of the matter waves is called de Broglie wavelength. Now we'll derive the formula for de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength. First we'll derive the formula for a photon and later we can implement the same formula to other particles also, like a particle, electron, proton, neutron, whatever particle given, we can also give the formula also to those particles. So for example, I am taking a photon. So first case I am taking for a photon. So already in the previous class we discussed photon theory and what are the properties of the photons also. Photon is one of the fundamental particle and a chargeless particle. So according to quantum theory, when a photon is in a motion, what is the formula for energy of the photon? So we can write according to quantum theory. So according to quantum theory, when a photon of frequency nu is moving, we have energy of the photon E is equal to h nu. So according to quantum theory, when a photon is moving with a frequency nu, then energy of the photon E is equal to h nu, where h is a Planck's constant and nu is equal to frequency of the photon. But we know frequency of the photon nu is equal to c by lambda, where lambda is equal to wavelength of the photon and c speed of the photon. If you substitute in the above formula, E is equal to h into c by lambda, equation 1. So energy of the photon E is equal to hc by lambda, where h is equal to Planck's constant, c is equal to speed of the photon, lambda is equal to wavelength of the photon. So energy of the photon E is equal to hc by lambda. When same photon is in a motion, the kinetic energy of the photon having a mass is equal to m and the speed is equal to c is given by Einstein's mass energy equation. We can write according to Einstein's mass energy relation. According to Einstein's mass energy equation or relation, according to Einstein's mass energy relation, we can write energy of the photon having a mass m and a speed c is E equal to mc square, equation 2. So we are writing energy of the photon in two cases. First case, according to quantum theory, when a photon of frequency nu having energy E is equal to h nu, but the frequency of the photon nu is equal to c by lambda, therefore E is equal to hc by lambda. When a photon is in motion with a speed c, then the kinetic energy of the photon E is equal to mc square. It is according to Einstein. But I can equate both the first and second equations. Equating a first and second are from 1 and 2. From equations 1 and 2, check here hc by lambda is equal to mc square. hc by lambda is equal to mc square. Any cancellation? left side c and right side one c get cancelled. Therefore, h by lambda is equal to mc, or lambda is equal to h by mc. Lambda is equal to h by mc, where h is equal to Planck's constant, m mass of the photon in motion, and c is equal to speed of the photon. So that lambda is called a de Broglie wavelength. So therefore, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to one formula h by mc. But in this formula, the product of mass and speed is equal to momentum. The product of mass and velocity of a photon is equal to momentum. So we can write it, but here mc is equal to p, which is equal to linear momentum of the photon. It is equal to linear momentum of photon. In the above formula, mc place I will substitute p. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by p. So that lambda is called as a de Broglie wavelength of the photon, and h is equal to Planck's constant, and p is equal to momentum of the photon. It is for a photon. Similar model, in place of the photon, I want to use a particle like a duster or a piece of chalk or a car or maybe electron, proton, any particle I want to consider. Then how we can write the same formula? For a particle, any particle I may take. For a particle of mass m, a particle of mass m, I am taking a particle of mass m moving with a velocity v. Moving with a velocity v. Observe this one carefully. In the above case, the photon is having a mass m, but moving with a velocity equal to c. But here a particle of mass m moving with a velocity equal to v, not c. Then how to write a de Broglie wavelength? De Broglie wavelength. I'll write here de Broglie wavelength. So de Broglie wavelength. Just modify the above formula. Lambda is equal to h by m into, in place of the c, what you should write? V. In place of the c, you should write v. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by mv. So observe this two formula carefully. In the first case, lambda is equal to h by mc is for photon, and here lambda is equal to h by mv for a particle or for an object. So in this formula also, mv is called momentum. Product of the mass and velocity is called momentum. Then I'll write here, but m into v is equal to p, which is equal to linear momentum of a particle. Linear momentum of a particle. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by p, you should write. So this formula is nothing but called as de Broglie wavelength of the photon. So sometimes a 3 marks question may be asked for a subjective type, means a PU level. So what type of question means, what are matter waves? Derive an expression for de Broglie wavelength of a photon. Or what are matter waves? Derive an expression for a de Broglie wavelength of a particle. Will be asked question, important. That is a de Broglie wavelength of a particle and a formula, how it depends on various parameters. From this last formula, de Broglie wavelength, we will discuss some general points only. So general some note points we can discuss here. So what is a de Broglie wavelength formula? Lambda is equal to h by mv. So from the formula, lambda is equal to h by mv. How lambda depends upon mass and velocity of the particle. If two particles are given, for example, and we can write here lambda is inversely proportional to the velocity of the particle when m is kept constant. So two particles are having the same mass, but they are moving with the different velocities. Then which particle will have more de Broglie wavelength, means lesser velocity. So inversely proportional. So we can write lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to v2 by v1. whenever the mass of the particle is kept constant, de Broglie wavelength of the particle is inversely proportional to its velocity. The particle having a lesser velocity will have more de Broglie wavelength and vice versa. Same model. If two particles are having a same velocity, moving with the same velocity, then lambda proportional to 1 by m we can write. So that implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to m2 by m1. When two particles are moving with the same velocity means the lesser particle will have, or lighter particle will have more de Broglie wavelength, heavier particle will have lesser de Broglie wavelength. So lambda 1 by lambda 2 equal to m2 by m1. Or at a time, for example, in problems both given, ratio of the m1 m2 given, v1 v2 given, then we can write the formula lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to m2 by m1 into v2 by v1 we should write. That is one important point. Next, one more. From the formula lambda is equal to h by p. How the de Broglie wavelength and momentum related? De Broglie wavelength and momentum, your h constant, Planck's constant is constant. So in this formula lambda proportional to 1 by p. That implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to p2 by p1. So de Broglie wavelength is inversely proportional to the linear momentum of the particle. The particle having a more momentum will have lesser de Broglie wavelength and vice versa. That is also an important relation. And if you take for example macroscopic bodies means bigger bodies in daily life, like a cricket ball or maybe an automobile like car or bus, something, they are having a more mass. So more mass means what about a de Broglie wavelength value? More mass indicates lambda should be less. For example, a cricket ball is thrown by a player, for example, but around the cricket ball there are number of matter waves or de Broglie waves, but we cannot notice. For example, whenever a duster is dropped from certain height, whenever duster is moving downwards, so some of the waves are associated around the duster. They are called matter waves, but we cannot see or we cannot observe the matter waves. Why? For example, a cricket ball given, mass of the ball is equal, for example, 100 grams. I'll take a mass of the ball is equal to 100 gram. And speed of the ball is equal to, I'll take 10 meter per second. Speed is equal to 10 meter per second and the mass of the ball is equal to 100 grams. Then what is the de Broglie wavelength? If you want to calculate de Broglie wavelength formula, lambda is equal to h by mv. If I write h is equal to value 6.625, 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34. It is a value of Planck's constant divided by mass of the ball. Here 100 grams given. We need to convert into kilograms. That is equal to 100 by 1000. If write here 100 by 1000 kilograms, 2 zeros get cancelled, only 10 power minus 1 kg. I'll write here mass is equal to 10 to the power of minus 1 into velocity of the ball is equal to 10 to the power of plus 1. So both 10 power minus 1, 10 power plus 1 get cancelled. Then value will get 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34. It is equal to meter. Or if you want to convert into angstrom, 10 to the power of minus 10 meters is equal to an angstrom, which is equal to 6.625 into 10 power minus 24 angstrom also we can write it. So observe carefully, 10 power minus 34 meter means negligible value. So very less value. 10 power minus 34 meter means or 10 power minus 24 angstrom means a very negligible value. That's why when a cricket ball is thrown by a player, so whatever the matter waves around the cricket ball, we cannot notice in daily life because the matter is a bigger one. All the bodies are bigger and they are moving with a lesser velocity. That's why it is a very difficult to notice matter waves in daily life. That's very important. But for example, if take an electron or a proton or something particles, but we can notice, for example, mass of the electron 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg, correct? Mass of the electron, and electron is moving with a speed is equal to 10 to the power of 6 meter per second. Now I'll calculate what is the de Broglie wavelength of electron. Lambda is equal to h by mv, that equal to 6.625. It is in case of example, in case of a ball I am taking here. In case of an electron I am taking one more example. Why can't we notice matter waves in the daily life, or why we can notice in case of the small particles? Means 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 divided by mass of electron 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 into 10 to the power of 6. If you calculate and check, what we'll get, 6.625 divided by 9.1, 0.73 into here 10 power minus 34, and take this 6 also numerator, 10 power minus 40, 10 power minus 40, 10 power plus 31, 10 power minus 9 will get into 10 to the power of minus 9. So approximately it is equal to, for a small particle or electron, it is having a 10 power minus 9 meters, equal to nanometers. In the case of a cricket ball, it is a 10 power minus 34 meter. In case of an electron like a small particle, it is a 10 power minus 9 meter. So it is a very bigger value, it is a very smaller value. That's why matter waves or de Broglie waves very difficult to notice in daily life. That's important. But not necessarily this one. Any example you may take and you can calculate also like this. So one important point you have to note down. It is difficult to notice. Note down that important point. It is difficult to notice. It is difficult to notice matter waves. It is difficult to notice matter waves in daily life. Difficult to notice matter waves in daily life. Because they are having very small or very smaller wavelength, because they are having very small wavelength. They are having very small wavelength of order, very small wavelength of order 10 to the power of minus 24, 10 to the power of minus 24 angstrom, 10 power minus 24 angstrom. Next, one more important point from de Broglie concept. Matter waves are independent of charge. So that does not depend upon nature of the particle and charge of the particle. So matter waves are independent of, does not depend upon, matter waves are independent of nature of the particle, independent of nature and charge of the particle, independent of the nature and charge of a particle. So if it is a electron having a charge, the matter waves are associated. If take a neutron, it is a chargeless particle, also matter waves are associated. So matter waves does not depend upon the nature of the particle. It is a duster, electron or a ball, doesn't matter. When it is in a motion, there are matter waves. For example, when it is a chargeless particle like a photon or neutron, also matter waves are associated. If it is a charged particle like a proton, electron, alpha particle, also matter waves are associated. So matter waves does not depend upon nature of the particle and the charge of the particle. One more important point, matter waves can also travel in vacuum. Matter waves can travel in a vacuum. Matter waves can travel in a vacuum. So that means matter waves can travel in solids, liquids, gases and also in a vacuum also. That's important. But generally we are having a two type of waves. One is a mechanical wave. In first year also we discussed there are two types of waves. One type of waves are called mechanical waves, and the second type of waves are non-mechanical or electromagnetic waves. These are the two types of the waves, mechanical and electromagnetic. But here there may be one doubt: matter waves belongs to mechanical waves or electromagnetic waves. So generally mechanical waves always require a medium. Without medium, mechanical wave cannot travel. So mechanical wave can travel in solids, liquids and gases, but not in vacuum. But what we are saying in the above point, matter waves can travel in a vacuum also. That's why matter waves are not mechanical waves. So here generally mechanical waves always require a medium. Mechanical waves require a medium, whereas electromagnetic waves doesn't require a medium. Electromagnetic waves doesn't require a medium. Now we here we have to check this one. Matter waves can travel in vacuum. So here mechanical waves compulsory requires a medium and cannot travel in vacuum. So clearly matter waves are not mechanical waves. That's very important. You can write one point. Matter waves are not mechanical waves. Matter waves are not mechanical waves. If question asked why they are not mechanical waves, so mechanical wave require a medium. It cannot travel in vacuum, but a matter wave can travel in vacuum also. That's why they are not mechanical waves. Matter waves are not mechanical waves because they can travel in a vacuum also. Because they can travel in vacuum also. But second possibility, are matter waves electromagnetic waves? So matter waves are electromagnetic waves or not? So clearly one clarification is there. Matter waves are not mechanical waves. Then second possibility only electromagnetic waves. But the electromagnetic waves are produced by accelerated charged particles. Electromagnetic waves are produced by any charged particle which is in acceleration. That means accelerated charged particles. Electromagnetic waves are produced by accelerated charged particles. Now one more point we already mentioned in the above case. Matter waves does not depend upon charge of the particle. Matter waves are independent of charge of the particle, but electromagnetic waves are only produced by accelerated charged particles. That's why clearly matter waves are also not electromagnetic waves. It's important, right? Matter waves are not electromagnetic waves. Matter waves are not electromagnetic waves because they are independent of charge of a particle. Because they are independent of charge of a particle. Because they are independent of charge of a particle. Independent of the charge of a particle. Then what we can expect generally? We are having only two type of waves. One is a mechanical, one is electromagnetic. But matter waves are not mechanical and not electromagnetic. So what type of waves means we can predict they are probability waves. Matter waves are probabilistic waves. So what does this word indicates? Probabilistic waves means they represent probability of finding the particle in the space. For example, any charged particle or non-charged particle is sent into the open space or a vacuum. When the particle is moving at a particular place, I want to find whether the particle is existed or not. So here the probability of finding a particle at the given point in the space at the given time can be determined by using matter waves. So they are nothing but only probabilistic waves. So which represent the probability of finding a particle in the space. So not mechanical, not electromagnetic, they are only probability waves or probabilistic waves. That's important. And I'll write one more formula for a de Broglie wavelength, various forms. I'll give various forms of de Broglie wavelength. I'll write here from de Broglie wavelength, the lambda is equal to formula h by p. Various forms of de Broglie wavelength. Various forms of de Broglie wavelength. We know de Broglie wavelength of a particle of momentum p is given by lambda is equal to h by p. Should write. For example, a particle of mass m, a particle of mass m moving with a velocity v. A particle of mass m moving with a velocity v or speed v. Whenever a particle is in motion, it has some kinetic energy. I'll write the formula: kinetic energy K is equal to half m into v square. K is equal to half mv square. I want to multiply and divide the formula with m. Then check what we'll get. So K is equal to half m into v square into m divided by m. Multiplying with m and also dividing with m. Total meaning of the equation may not be changed. Then we can write m into m is equal to m square into v square divided by 2m. K is equal to m square v square by 2m. But we know the product of mass and velocity of a particle is equal to momentum p. Should write. Therefore, I'll write K is equal to mv is equal to p. Then m square v square is equal to, should write p square by 2m. Then take this 2m left side. That implies p square is equal to 2m into ke. And remove this square. Then momentum p is equal to formula root of 2m into ke. We can write. Now in this first formula, I'll substitute this p is equal to root of 2m into ke. Then we can write a de Broglie wavelength. Check here, de Broglie wavelength. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by p. But a p place I'll substitute h by square root of 2m into ke. 2m into ke. So it is one important formula. So de Broglie wavelength of a particle of mass m having a kinetic energy ke, we can write lambda is equal to h by square root of 2m into ke, where m is equal to mass of the particle, ke kinetic energy of the particle, h Planck's constant. But in this formula, how lambda depends upon m? Inversely proportional to root. We can write here one point, lambda proportional to 1 by root m when k is kept constant. From this problem, I also write lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to square root of m2 by m1 when kinetic energy of the particle is kept constant. And second, one more point also we can write, de Broglie wavelength is inversely proportional to the kinetic energy of a particle when m is kept constant. That implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to square root of ke2 by ke1 when mass of the particle is kept constant. So both are important for competitive exams. Both the formulae. De Broglie wavelength and ke relation. So from this formula, if you want to calculate ke also by squaring on both sides, If you square this formula on both sides, then what will get? Lambda square is equal to h square divided by root 2 square will be cancelled. 2m into ke. Take a ke left side and a lambda square right side. We can calculate the ke of the particle when lambda given. So ke of the particle is equal to h square by, it is equal to 2m into lambda square. Also we can write k is equal to h square by 2m into lambda square. It is to find the kinetic energy of the particle when a wavelength lambda given means. So remember this formula, it is important. One more I'll give. When a gas molecule is moving with some velocity called as RMS velocity, then how to write the de Broglie wavelength formula? So right here, for a gas molecule or gaseous atom, for a gas molecule, write RMS velocity, Vrms is equal to square root of, it is equal to 3 kT by m. So 3 into kT by m, where k is equal to Boltzmann constant. We can write a T is equal to absolute temperature. Capital T is equal to absolute temperature of the gas molecule, and K is equal to Boltzmann constant. Boltzmann's constant, and the value is equal to 1.38 into 10 power minus 23 joule per Kelvin. Similarly, m is equal to mass of the gas molecule. And here I will substitute the value in a lambda, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by mass of the gas molecule into RMS velocity of the gas molecule. I'll write here. General formula lambda equal to h by mv. But v place I am writing a Vrms. If you substitute a Vrms formula in this here, we'll get one more formula. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by m into Vrms place we write a square root of 3 kT by m. 3 into kT by m. So take this m also inside the root. Then lambda is equal to h by square root of, it is equal to 3 m square into kT by m. So if you take m inside the root, it becomes m square. One m value get cancelled. Therefore, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by square root of 3m into kT. So lambda is equal to h by square root of 3m into k into t, where m is equal to mass of the gas molecule or gas atom, t absolute temperature, and k Boltzmann constant, lambda de Broglie wavelength. In this formula, how lambda depends upon t? Inversely proportional. De Broglie wavelength is inversely proportional to absolute temperature. Lambda proportional to capital T. That implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to square root of T2 by T1. Inversely proportional to absolute temperature you should write. So lambda proportional to 1 by T, or lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to square root of T2 by T1. Inversely proportional. I'll give one more formula. One more. A particle, whenever a particle is at rest, rest mass of the particle is equal to m naught. For a particle of rest mass, whenever the particle is at rest, the rest mass of the particle I am taking a m naught. For a particle of rest mass m naught is moving with a speed v. Moving with a speed v. So generally this speed is comparable to the speed of the light. A particle of rest mass m naught is moving with a speed v, which is comparable to c. which is comparable to C. Here C means the speed of the light. We can write the formula mass m is equal to m naught by square root of 1 minus v square by c square according to Einstein's theory of relativity. We can write the formula here. But already we know de Broglie wavelength formula lambda is equal to h by mv. In place of the m, we can substitute m naught by 1 minus the square root of v square by c square. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by, already m place I am writing a m naught by square root of 1 minus v square by c square into v should write. So take this 1 minus v square by c square to numerator. Then de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h into square root of 1 minus v square by c square divided by m naught into v. One more formula. So important for competitive exams. De Broglie wavelength of a moving particle with variable mass. Whenever the mass of the particle changes means we should use this formula. H is equal to Planck's constant, c speed of the particle or speed of the light, v speed of the particle which is comparable to c, m naught rest mass of the particle and v speed of the particle should write. And one more formula I'll give for de Broglie wavelength only. De Broglie wavelength of a charged particle like electron, proton, alpha particle or deuteron, when they are moving or accelerated through a potential difference v, how to write the formula for de Broglie wavelength? I'll write here. For a charged particle of mass m, charged particle of mass m, your charged particle means you may consider electron, proton or alpha particle, deuteron, any particle may take. Charged particle of mass m and charge q is accelerated or moving, accelerated through a potential difference. I am writing a short form PD. Potential difference V. How to write the formula? Your charged particle is in motion means what type of energy it has? Kinetic energy. So we have K is equal to formula half m into V square. But one more formula already I have given. Charged particle is in motion means the total work is in the form of kinetic energy. But K also formula is equal to charge into potential difference. Observe these two letters carefully. Capital V potential difference, small v speed, both are different. Then take m by 2 right side. V square is equal to 2 into qv by m and remove this square. Therefore v is equal to square root of 2 qv by m, where speed of the charged particle v is equal to square root of 2 qv by m. But we want to write the formula for de Broglie wavelength. Therefore, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to formula h by mv. So from the formula de Broglie wavelength lambda equal h by mv. V place may substitute this formula. Therefore, lambda is equal to h by square m into v place I am writing a square root of 2 qv by m. Here also take m inside the root, m square, 1 mm get cancelled, then remaining formula write lambda is equal to h by square root of 2m into qv. It is a one more formula for a charged particle, de Broglie wavelength of a charged particle. So in this formula, h Planck's constant, m mass of the charged particle, q charge of the charged particle and v potential difference. Here also one competitive exams ratio problems important. I'll write one formula. So from the above formula, how lambda depends upon V? Lambda is inversely proportional to the potential difference for the given particle. Mass constant, charge constant, then lambda proportional to 1 by V. That implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to V2 by V1. For a given particle, here given particle means mass constant, charge constant. When it is moving with the two different potential differences, then we can write the formula like this. For example, if two particles are moving with through same potential difference, V constant, how it depends upon the mass and charge. I'll write lambda proportional to, here it is the first point, it is second point, lambda proportional to 1 by root m into q. From this formula, whenever V constant, lambda proportional to 1 by m, lambda proportional to 1 by q. That implies lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to under root of q2 by q1, or first we write m2 by m1, then q2 by q1. m2 by m1 into q2 by q1. Here potential difference capital V is a capital constant. When a potential difference is a constant, lambda proportional to 1 by root mq, we can write. If for example electron given in this formula, we should substitute mass of electron, charge of electron, and Planck's constant, already all known values only. So we'll get one shortcut formula also for complete exams. For example, one electron given, how to write the formula, shortcut formula for a de Broglie wavelength of electron? For an electron, we can write the symbol of electron E minus 1, 0 you should write like this. We know mass of electron m is equal to 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. Charge of electron 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. And the Planck's constant h is equal to 6.625, or round off value I'm writing a 6.63 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. Then what is a de Broglie wavelength? I'll use the formula lambda electron is equal to h by square root of 2m into qv. Substitute all the values and calculate. H value 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 divided by square root of 2 into 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 into charge 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 into V value we don't know. Electron may be moving through any potential difference like 100 volt or 1000 volt, we don't know. Leave this one as V. And we have to simplify these values. First denominator, inside the root we have to multiply. So lambda electron is equal to 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 divided by square root of, if you multiply 2 into 9.1 into 1.602, 29.16 into, check here, minus 31 minus 19 means minus 50 value into 10 to the power of minus 50 we should write. Now take root 29.16, 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 divided by 10 power minus 50. If take outside the root, it become 10 power minus 25 and root 29.16, 5.4 approximately, 5.4. 6.625 by nearly 5.4. So you can write 1 point, exact value means 1.227 will get into 10 to the power of minus 34, it is equal to plus 25, minus 11, minus 9, you get minus 9 meter, but divided by root V same only, no change. Root V meter, but 10 power minus 9 meter is equal to 1 nanometer. So we can write the value 1.227 by root V nanometer. So we can use this as shortcut formula. De Broglie wavelength of electron is equal to 1.227 by root V nanometer. Or if I write here 10 power 1 digit, if I adjust right side, 12.27 into 10 power minus 10 we can write. Or same formula, lambda electron is equal to 12.27 into 10 to the power of minus 10 by root V. But 10 to the power of minus 10 is equal to 1 angstrom unit. So we can write the shortcut formula for de Broglie wavelength of electron 12.27 by root V. So in the competitive exams, for example, electron is moving through a potential difference of 100 volt. Then what is the de Broglie wavelength of electron asked? So simply 12.27 by root 100. Root 100 is equal to 10. So 12.27 by 10 is equal to 1.227. So easy to identify the answer also. So it is one shortcut formula for de Broglie wavelength of electron. So in tomorrow class we will discuss how Davison and Germer verified the wave nature of electrons or de Broglie concept. So tomorrow we can complete this chapter.